Hey, welcome back to DuckmanCycles and VW Garage. I'm your host, the Duckman. And we're back today with my split window VW bus, also known as Gregory. And if you probably remember, down below, this entire area was just rotten out, just completely rotten out. And it has been a little while since I've made a video. Now, it doesn't mean I've been slacking. It's quite the opposite, on the contrary. Down below here in this area, the frame was just in such bad shape that I've just been cutting all these little pieces out of it and patching in all these little parts. I put the crossbar in between the two frames because it was ridiculous how soft they were without that bar. That bar just was tremendously rotten. I couldn't believe just how rotten it was. I cut it out, you probably remember way back when I took the floors out, because the shifter box that sits underneath the floor was completely obliterated. So I just took the bar out because it was rotten, just gone. Well, as a result, when I would turn the steering wheel, the frame would actually do this. And I mean, it would deflect a lot, a couple inches in either direction. And that was just barely touching the steering wheel. So I knew once that was the case, stop messing around with the steering wheel, pull the steering box out and tear it apart. I don't think I captured that on video. If I did, you guys might have already seen it, but for some reason I just don't remember. I gotta go back and look myself. But I started cutting up the pieces of the frame in the front, started patching things together, and I made a new crossbar, and I did it out of 2 pieces of angle iron, which I turned together into a piece of box steel. I wish I could have found a box tube somewhere in one of the local hardware stores here, but unfortunately it was a Sunday when I put it in, so yeah, I was out of luck. I had to use what was available, and Lowe's just happened to have what I needed. So I welded that together, and I put together a new crossbar in between, and stock crossbar is like 31 inches. And as I was poking around underneath and patching some of the bits, the master cylinder just fell off. I couldn't believe it. It actually just fell off right in my hands. And it turned out that that crossbar, another piece of it, was also so rotten out that I just cut the entire thing out from all the way from the left side to the right side. On the driver's side, or the left side, is where the horn attaches to. And on the passenger side, it actually ends flush with the frame. But this time, instead of making, I think it was 31 inches, I made the whole piece 48 inches. It's 4 feet all the way across, and that gives me an extra long beam on either side to attach more horns. Because you know me, I'm annoying. I like to do crazy shit, and that means I'm going to be adding more horns. And it's always nice to have a couple extra tabs to bolt them onto. Just if I wanted to put a dual note horn, for example, there's no place to do it on here because it's just how it doesn't come. So now I've got extra places to mount them. I decided to take a little pause from the cause on this stuff because I was getting so tired with it that I wanted to cut out the windows. But in order for me to do that, I had to cut into something that was non-structural. So the doors are probably the best place to do it. The rest of the bus is just so soft, unfortunately, because it's still not quite attached to anything yet in the front. And yes, I am going to brace it. Now that I have a solid frame on the bottom to weld something to, I'm going to build the brace to the frame from the front end while the doors are closed, so that way I can adequately solidify the front end as I start to put things back together. There's been people that have been pushing me to put the brace in, put the brace. I couldn't. There was nothing solid to attach it to. And they just kept pushing and they kept pushing. But you know how it is. Everybody's a genius unless they're actually working here with me on the project. Boy, that helicopter's low, really low. I could actually see the little man. I could actually see the pilot looking over this way. That was really low. Anyway, I don't know how well the microphone picked it up, but yeah, he was really low. Yeah, now I can adequately brace the front end, and that's what we're going to do probably next. I don't think it's going to happen in this video, but it's going to happen between videos because it's going to be a very, very boring process. I might just drop the GoPro on it and just run from there. But the bracing is going to be really simple. I'm going to run it from the frame, which is now solid as a rock, up to the door in 2 different locations to kind of triangulate that area, to both push the door away from the frame and to pull it into the vehicle, so that way the backside of the door comes up like it's supposed to. Anyways, as always, licky, likey, comment, subscribe, pluck that dingle belly, and don't forget to check out duckshit.net. There's a whole bunch of different stuff on there, not just my social media. You can also find my classified ads that I put up on the Samba, a new thing that I've added. And if you'd like to email me, DuckmanCycles@duckshit.net. Thanks for watching, you guys. Really appreciate it. We'll be back right after the intro. Alright, so up under here is that crossbar that I was talking about, this piece that runs all the way from here to here. And it's a piece of 1/8 inch angle iron, 2 pieces of it that are welded together into a tube shape. This is a lot stronger than any of that sheet metal that was originally on the Beetle, the bus. This is just folded sheet metal. It's one of the reasons why it rusted through so easily. This is much more solid. Now, as I was saying before, I could grab this frame and I mean, I could just bend it every which way. This is just stamped sheet metal once again. This is not box steel. Had Volkswagen to design these things in large, you know, even 1/8 inch steel, this is not even 1/8 inch, and boxed these up on all 4 sides and ran that down the full length of the bus all the way to the back, this bus would be so much stronger than it is. And if I had to do a frame off restoration, well, you really can't separate the frame from these. Are welded solid. They don't unbolt like that of a Beetle. I would actually redesign this. I would not go with the stock parts. Anyways, down below over here, we put this piece in all the way from one side to the other. You see how it extends past here. This gives me the ability to attach more horns. I want to put a dual note horn on at least, and it would be nice if I could just flip a switch and use a different horn. I mean, that's gimmicky, but I like that kind of stuff. So I put this bar in, 48 inches from left to right, as opposed to 31 inches where it would normally end here, and it would only be a couple inches sticking out on that end over there. So it gives me more room for all kinds of accessories. Up underneath here, this is the piece that came out originally. That was right in here, totally rotted out. The new piece, however, is this, and this will rest right in there, something like that. It's off center right now, but it'll get welded in there just like that. And we're almost at the step right now to put that back in. But before I can get that far, there's still a few pieces that I have to finish. Right up in here, you see that gap? I have to make a piece to fill in that because this bar is actually a little bit smaller in diameter than it was with the stock piece that's over here that you see. It's actually a slightly different size. And of course I need to patch that little piece there too. Otherwise that worked out real nicely. Over there, where I raised the steering box, you probably noticed I put the little webbing on the sides over there. I was getting crabbed at for not doing that in the last video. So now it's done. I don't need to hear any crap from anybody about it. You can pick on me for my welds if you want. They sure look a lot better than they did. But otherwise, after that, I went up through here with a descaler. I tried to sandblast it, but I discovered I was just making more of a mess than I was doing with anything else. It was just throwing crap everywhere, and it was too long and tedious of a process. So I used my descaler, air-powered descaler, and I got under here, and it was blowing off all the undercoating, all the loose paint, and all the rust. Everything went down to either bare metal or barely any rust remaining. And then I just brushed over it with some phosphoric acid, and as you notice, the frame is no longer rusty. Not at all. So as I continue to finish patching this, you see there's another patch right there, another piece that I had to put in there. There's just patches all over, mostly on the bottom on this side, some on the bottom over here. That was the only piece that was in the top that needed help. But yeah, there's a lot of that really needed to be put back together. We're going to brace this thing. We're going to do it from over here. I'm probably going to come off the frame and run it up to the bottom of the door, and then come up from this corner of the frame up to the door once again. I might even come off of this instead to the door and over to here, because this is actually more solid than this is. This doesn't flex at all. You see, I'm pulling on it. It doesn't move. But this, however, if I pull, it has a little tiny bit of flex in it. But this is much stronger. This is much heavier gauge of steel. So I think that's probably going to be a better spot. Anything that's beyond that bar isn't flexing at all. This stuff is all solid. It's all, yeah, not worried about it flexing. So we're going to go with that as is. Otherwise, yeah, this has been a long process. There's just been a lot of little holes up here and just stupid little things that needed to be fixed before I could even think to put the front end back on this, this bus. But we're almost there. We're almost there. A little bit more patching here and there. And I mean, it's really not interesting stuff. Otherwise, I would have made videos about this. Yeah, we definitely will make video when we attach the lower front end on there. That's probably going to be in the next video. But what you guys really want to know more about is, hey, Duckman, oh, look at these windows. Oh, my. Duckman's got windows in Gregory's doors. I thought that was a pretty cool way to start out this video. It's a little something that gets me away from all this frame nonsense. And quite to my surprise, when you pull these doors open, look on the inside of it, the flange for the inside of the window on the panel was already there. Yeah, it was already there. Still needs to be trimmed back some, but it doesn't matter. I'm able to get them sandwiched together. And this is real easy to get the thing lined up because there's a wedge line right along the bottom of the window here that runs the length of the bus. So I can easily calibrate the height. Now, I don't know where the left and right is supposed to be. So what I'm going to do is when I put the skylights in here, I'm going to align these windows to the skylights because the skylights are pre-spaced. So before I do any welding on this, I might just tack it in a couple spots just so I can use the clamps on something else for the time being. But yeah, we will align it with the skylight. So I hope that spells it out for the people that say, oh, why don't you just weld it in now? There's going to be a ton of people that are going to tell me how to do it. You know how it is. When I did all the cutting on this one, you saw in the beginning of the video, I used my plasma cutter on a lot of it. And after doing this side and spending almost an hour and a half on it, I realized that it was a whole lot easier to just cut the hole bigger, much bigger than the outside diameter of the window rather than the inside, which is where I cut it to. It's a little bit bigger than that by about ½ an inch. And I used the Sawzall to do it, and I cut through this window in no time at all, and it doesn't have such a sloppy looking edge on it. This one here, plasma cutter, well, it tends to do that. It makes a jaggy edge. So what I need to do is get in here with the angle grinder and grind it all off, smooth it all out. There's plenty of meat left that I can do that and not have it ugly. Not that you're ever going to see it anyway because, well, what happens when you get in here, the window rubbers will cover all this all the way up to this lip. So even if this turned out to be a little ugly, you'll never know. Now I'm thinking about when I put this back together that I'm not going to weld all of it. Typically what they do is Volkswagen put a spot welder on it and they pinched it and it welded through. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to epoxy this frame all the way around. And then once I've got that epoxied in, we're going to pinch it back together like this. We're going to let it sit. And then eventually, probably the next day or two, we'll cut it out right along this line all the way around. And what that'll do is the two pieces of metal that were in there will now have a perfect seam. So even if I go a little crooked or something, a little zigzaggy, the two seams are going to align perfectly. And then I can just come along here and just finish welding it in. And that's exactly how I built the Beetle. And I think that'll work just fine on here the same way. So this is coming together, and this is just a little side project that I wanted to do. I was getting so bored working down under here. I was tired of leaning over, tired of having hurt back. So started working on something that allowed me to stand upright. So that's where we're at. Things are coming along. Things are coming along. We've got to get these doors braced. Well, actually, the whole front end needs to be braced. And once that's done, oh, really good things are going to start happening because we're going to put that front end back onto this bus, and then we can start tearing up the cargo area and the engine area. I also need to tear up the roof next. I can't tear up the roof, though, until the bottom is put back together. As I mentioned it before, for those of you that are just tuning in now, this 3 window pillars of the front end here is the only thing holding the entire front end on. Everything down here, well, except for really thin pieces of rusty metal that are over here that, yeah, aren't holding much of anything. That's all that's holding the front end on right now. And the only reason why it stays as square as it is because those doors still open and close pretty well. Driver's side one is still perfectly straight. Passenger one was sagging by the time I got it. So I don't know what happened to it. I don't know how it was treated. I don't know, I don't know anything about its history. But I would say that it needs a repair and definitely needs to be braced before I can get that thing finished up. Well, I think we're rambling on here. I'm getting a little tired. It's towards the end of the day. The ducks have been playing in the pool. There's the Boom. Why are we not focusing? There it is. What are you doing, Boom? And over there is Skeeter. She's hiding underneath the Volkswagen tent that we propped over there to try to dry it out. Right, Skeeter? You be a good girl? She turned 17 and a half years old just a couple days ago. So proud of that little bird. I spent the entire day with her just hanging out. We were eating cheeseburgers and shrimp and french fries and all that good stuff that she likes. Boomer got some too, right, Boom? Boy, this yard is a mess. I got to clear some of the stuff out. Well, anyway, that's why you guys are going to want to check out duckshit.net. That's my website. Up on the website, you'll find my different social media links. You'll also find my classifieds, which are up on a sample. I'm going to start listing some of my Volkswagen parts that have been sitting around that I don't need. I need to let them go because this yard, it's unbelievable that this yard has this much crap in it. This is not the way I live. This is not the way I want it to be. I've got my projects now and I need to get rid of some stuff. So I'm going to be thinking things out. So hit up duckshit.net, check out the classifieds, and you too can purchase something from the Duckman. And if you don't see something that's there for sale, you can always ask me. Just email me at DuckmanCycles@duckshit.net. So licky, likey, comment, subscribe, plug that dingle bell that you get updates every time I upload a new video. And thanks for watching, you guys. I really, really appreciate you guys for sticking around. And hopefully we'll have some more progress done on this thing this week. Or maybe this weekend. I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it.